Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox, 8:38 on the East Coast and 5:38 on the West Coast. A big question here as we take a look at some of the video from a little more than 24 hours ago as Israel did launch that retaliatory strike on Iran. You can see some of the missiles overhead here, but the big question so many people are asking over the past several months and really years, what is Iran's mission overall? It's a question that has been asked when you talk about the nuclear program and other aspects. So I do want to bring in an expert to help break that down for us. We do have Alireza Jafarzadeh, the Deputy Director of the Washington office of the National Council of Resistance of Iran, also the author of The Iran Threat, joining us now live. Thank you so much, as always, for taking the time to be here with us to talk a very complex subject.
Thank you so much, Josh. It certainly is very timely. It's been timely for a while, and always a pleasure to be on the show.
I do want to ask you, because you have some inside information here, I want to get your take. What is the extent here of the missile program that Iran has, and why are they invested so thoroughly in it?
Well, that's a great question, Josh. You know, we've been spending a lot of time on the missile program of the Iran regime because that has been a central element of their external behavior. Their foreign policy is actually based and built on terrorism, weapons of mass destruction, exporting, Islamic fundamentalism, and relying, training, and funding heavily their proxies. And the missile program is just right at the center of that policy. I remember over a decade ago that the Revolutionary Guards, which did have an air force in addition to the ground forces and the Navy, but Khamenei ordered the air force of the Revolutionary Guards to be basically replaced or transformed into what they call aerospace force, which is built centrally on the missile program, and later they added the drone program. So why would you want those missiles built? They are a very aggressive tool. It gives the Iran regime the ability to hit targets far away. It gives the regime the ability to provide it to their proxies, as we have seen from Hezbollah in Lebanon to the militias in Iraq to the Houthis in Yemen, you name it. And then they spend a huge amount of money and resources on it. We identified, a few years ago, at least 42 sites all across Iran that have been built to either procure and build the missiles or are the sites that are used for launching them. And most recently, one more added that makes it 43 that we just exposed near Tehran. That is built both over the ground, but also has underground facilities, tunnels that is built for storing missiles, major missiles like Shahab 3, FAT, and others. So that's really a central element of the policy of a regime that is built on terrorism.
And going a little bit deeper into that, how exactly does the missile program overall compare to Iran's nuclear program? There's so many questions about the nuclear program overall, but how do the two compare?
Well, certainly the two are very interrelated, and one is required for the other. For building a nuclear bomb, which has been the project of the Iran regime since day one. The program was never about peaceful. It was never about energy. For over 4 decades, that's what they have been focusing. But to build a nuclear bomb, you need to have the fissile material to either enrich it or use plutonium. Second, you need to turn it into a weapon, weaponizing it. And third, you need a delivery system. And the missile program comes right into it. It's one of the 3 components of their nuclear weapons program. And a lot of the things they do actually does have benefits in terms of escalating, elevating, and completing their nuclear weapons program. And they're spending a huge amount of money and resources on that. The nuclear weapons program of Iran regime, which, we know a thing or two about it because we were first to, in August of 2002, that exposed the nuclear site in Natanz, with that was the uranium enrichment facility. That revelation triggered, for the first time, the inspections of Iranian nuclear sites by the UN watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Agency, which has continued to date. That revelation led to 6 UN Security Council resolutions, eventually, that imposed sanctions on the Iranian regime. But by following up all of the nuclear activities of the Iran regime, we realized how much money and resources were spent at that. Our estimate, based on all the facts we have on the ground, is that so far the Iran regime has spent $2,000 billion. That's like $2 trillion on their nuclear weapons program, and add to it the money they're spending for their missile program, add to it the money they're spending billions and tens of billions of dollars every year to their proxies. So that, I guess, that explains why a country like Iran, that is very rich in terms of resources, especially oil. We have the second largest oil and gas reserves in the world, yet 80% of the population live below the poverty line, and that explains why the Iranian people are so against this regime. So, in other words, the nuclear weapons program is very much interrelated to their the missile program, and both of them are meant to keep this regime in power. It's their guarantee for their survival.
This is going to be a hard question to answer, but I do want to get your take on it overall. Are we any closer with these developments that we have seen over the past several days, weeks, months here, and really years? Are we any closer to peace than we were maybe months ago?
As you said, it's a tough question to answer, but let me put it this way. You're not going to see peace in the Middle East or anywhere really, so long as the mullahs rule Iran. I think the developments that you referred to in the past, few months, especially since the October of last year, has proven to the world that the head of the snake of war and terror lies in Tehran. The Iran regime heavily relies on these proxies, on these outlaw behavior, rogue behavior in the region as a tool to stay in power. So are we closer to peace? Well, in a way, we're closer to the downfall of the Iran regime, because they're running out of their resources. They're running out of their tactics. They're running out of those, relying on those pillars, which was repression inside the country and export of terror outside of the country. There have been 9 rounds of major uprisings in Iran since 2018. People chanting death to the dictator, be the Shah or the supreme leader. They want an end to the rule of the theocracy in Iran, and they want to look forward to see a free republic, democratic government, really, in the country that would abandon any kind of aggression, but it would abandon killing its own people. It would favor, separation of religion and state, a free market economy, and freedom of religion, gender equality. All of those things are actually the platforms of the Iranian resistance, led by a woman, Mrs. Maryam Rajavi, who introduced this platform, not recently, but way back in 2006 at the Council of Europe, and built tremendous international support for it. Over 4,000 parliamentarians around the world support this plan, in addition to the people of Iran. So the prospects for change are really there. And the more the regime relies on terror outside and repression inside, these are all signs of vulnerability of the regime. These are signs of weakness of the regime. Imagine the new president of the regime, Pezeshkian, since he took office just this past August, 342 executions of prisoners have taken place. This is higher than any other period. What does it tell you? It tells you the regime is vulnerable, is weak, and is afraid of its own population. So my suggestion to the outside world, basically, and including the United States, is that keep the focus on the head of the snake, keep the focus on, recognizing the right of the people of Iran to overthrow the repressive rulers, keep the focus on the right of the young people in Iran, those resistance units who are confronting the Revolutionary Guards, to eventually lead to the fall of the regime. That's when we are going to see peace and tranquility, both inside Iran, but also in the region and everywhere else.
Alireza Jafarzadeh, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us. Anything else you want to add about any of this before I let you go? A true expert, so we definitely appreciate it.
Well, first of all, I really appreciate you keeping the focus on this issue because, honestly speaking, the tendency is just to simply look at the things happening on that day. Looking at just like the two sides, those who are directly in confrontation, and losing sight of the big picture and what's really going on in the big picture. And they lose sight of the weaknesses of the Iran regime, but at the same time seeing them as the head of the stake of war and terror, a stake of war and terror in the region. And that's why I want to make sure that everybody, those who are in Congress, those who are going to be in the administration, whoever that would be, it's not a partisan issue. It's all about, national security. It's all about the ending terrorism and seeing a real peace and tranquility in the region. So I want everyone to really focus on the behavior of the Iran regime and those who are fighting it, trying to, end the rule of the Ayatollahs. That's, my closing thing.
And it's always good to take a step back and look at the big picture and see how did we get to this point, what's going on, what does the future hold. So again, I appreciate you being here to help break that down for us.
Thank you so much, Josh. Always a pleasure to be on your show.